Hello and welcome to a video of mine. This video today is another video just talking about things I've heard in the news, in the media, and it's a great way to share my own opinions on, on certain topics that is seen in the press or media. And the latest one is about the Conservative Party and obviously who's going to take over from the Prime Minister at the moment, so who will be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And I will just say that reading, well, as far as I'm aware, this is how it's supposed to work. So there's a general election, people vote, and then of course, this is just my own opinion, then they, obviously, the ones with the most votes or whatever, ends up taking over and whatever. But the thing about it is that all parties, irrelevant of what the title is and whatever, or the brand, because all political parties are organisations that they're all businesses that are registered in the United Kingdom, and the thing about it is that when it comes to the next Prime Minister, it will probably be based on if they're carrying on doing the same as what they did last time, then of course they will have to do the same as what they did last time to get a new party, obviously to take over our Prime Minister. But what's fascinating about it is in the news it's saying that a Conservative MP has handed his letter in to obviously to try and make sure that the Prime Minister doesn't stay in power. And in my opinion, I think that in one way, yes, it may have a very, very slight impact if an MP is handing in their letter. Then I'm not sure if it will impact the decision on who to take on next. But what you've got to remember is an MP is a member of staff. They work for the government, and on that basis alone, as they are working for the UK government, one person that is handing in their letter is not going to impact the Conservative Party or even the government at all. And I don't believe it can influence if that Prime Minister stays on or not, because what will happen is he hands his letter in the hope that it's going to impact the decision on if to keep him in power or not. But the Conservative Party have got so many people wanting jobs, wanting to work as an MP. Potentially, won't take them long to find another person to take over his place. And if they put that person in place, then it's not going to make much difference anyway. It certainly won't make much difference because that new member of staff that's took over his place is then keeping the same amount of MPs or whatever. So I think, even though obviously getting rid of an MP, writing a letter to obviously try and influence the decision of who's going to be taken on next, I don't think it will have much impact unless, if the Conservative Party went down the route of recruiting, then it won't have much impact at all, because that person that's disappeared or handed the letter in, then the next person can take over his role, and that keeps the same amount of MPs in power or whatever. So I don't believe it should be about that. I think it should be about the public, obviously the public votes. So people that vote for a party, that obviously the more votes at the end of the day, the one with the most votes should take over power, as long as they're lawful, and they stick to human rights and so on. But the Conservative Party is, in a way, is not modern. It's not up to date. It doesn't know much about human rights aspects. So of course the human rights. So I think all parties are just the same anyway. So yeah, I don't think obviously in the press where it's saying that he's handed his letter in to try and obviously impact the decision on the Prime Minister staying in power. Don't think it may have an impact, but if the Conservative Party went down the route of recruiting to replace that person, then it won't make much difference. So I don't believe if that's the route they would take, I don't think it would make much difference. I think what it'll do is it'll keep the same amount of MPs, but then it'll be up to the public's vote to decide which party they're going for, and then the one with the most votes obviously stay in power for the following thing. So that's how I see it about that. And excuse me. And it's so easy to recruit someone to take over that person's place. It's so easy to find a new MP and just say, all right, well, let's apply for it. Let's get another MP taken on or whatever. So it shouldn't really be based on that. It should be based on the public's vote. And at the end of the day, when they count up them votes and they know that there's a party with the most votes, assuming they're lawful, then they should be obviously taken on and so on. So obviously the Conservative has been in power for a long time. It was not just this Prime Minister. There was another Prime Minister before that. And there was another Prime Minister before that. So that's 3 Prime Ministers all working in the Conservative Party. So the question is, which party is going to take on next? So I believe, even though the press might say, all right, well, it'd be good to have a change of power and give it to another party or whatever, see what they can do. But the question is that the Conservatives have always held the most power for years and years. So for whatever reason, it's very difficult to get people turning away and voting for another party. And so when you look at the last election, look at the one before that, they've always won, and it's never changed. So the question is, the only way, so I do predict that it'll be the Conservatives that will win again for the following, obviously on the next election or whatever, because if they've won twice, what's going to stop people for the following one? So it seems to me, if they've won twice, then they're going to win again. And and I'm not sure why the other parties are not winning or anything like that. It's especially Labour and Liberal Democrats or Labour or whatever. So yeah, from myself, Daniel Hall, I don't think it has much difference and much impact on the decision, but as it stands right now, it may have a slight impact. If it's set up in that way, then yes, it might have an impact. But if the Conservatives went down the route of recruiting, then of course it wouldn't have any. And if the system was run differently, then it wouldn't have an impact at all. So that's it. So thank you for watching this very short video. It's just something I've read in the news, in the media. So feel free to comment or tweet at www.twitter.com/Daniel Hall 2022. Or visit my personal website when it's published, www.danielhallwebsite.com. Thank you and goodbye.